thousands of Turkish soldiers, and standing against them, a single monster. He is no ordinary man. His blood is stained with the curse of an ancient demon. In one hellish night, he transformed into the reaper of an entire army. What was the dark pact that birthed this nightmare? And why did he unleash the shadows upon his own people? Buckle up, because we're diving into the legend of the Vampire King. Days earlier, Vlad and his men were hunting for Turkish spies deep in the woods. Their pursuit led them to a forbidden cave perched high on a jagged mountain. The air grew thick with the sound of wings, thousands of bats erupting from the darkness. Vlad knew instantly. These weren't just animals. They were guarding the spies. The team pushed inside, only to be met by a graveyard of human bones. Suddenly, a primal horror emerged from the shadows, tearing through Vlad's men in a flash of slaughter. Vlad barely made it out alive, chasing the dawn to the safety of the sunlight, for the creature was bound to the darkness of the mountain. Desperate for answers, he sought out an ancient priest. The elder's warning was grim. This wasn't just a vampire, but a man from an age-long past who traded his humanity for absolute power. Now, he is a slave to the cave, sustained only by blood, forever searching for a successor to break his curse. Vlad returned to his wife and children, the weight of the carnage clinging to him like a shroud. But peace was short-lived. The Easter festival arrived, bringing a facade of celebration, until the Turkish emissaries arrived. Vlad offered gold in a show of diplomacy, but the Ottoman commander wanted more than coins. He demanded 1,000 boys from Vlad's own kingdom to be forged into the Sultan's elite war machine. It was a cold, calculated move to break the spirit of the land. When the commander reached for a child, Vlad's rage snapped, his grip tightening around the soldier's throat as he snarled a warning. The boy would not be taken. The Turks left with a chilling promise of total annihilation, leaving Vlad to face the devastating reality. His kingdom is defenseless, but Vlad wasn't about to hand over the future of his kingdom to the Turks. Driven by a desperate hope, he decided to face Sultan Mehmed head-on, banking on the ghost of their childhood friendship. When he arrived at the Ottoman camp, his plea was met with cold mockery. Vlad offered himself in exchange for the children, but Mehmed scoffed. "Why would I want a seasoned king when I can have 1,000 souls for my war machine?" The Sultan's demand was absolute. He wanted the 1,000 boys, and he wanted Vlad's own son to be raised under his thumb. Vlad stood paralyzed by the weight of the crown, unable to defy the order in the open. The nightmare arrived at his gates shortly after. As the Turkish soldiers came to claim his son, the palace dissolved into chaos. Vlad's wife, shattered and sobbing, begged him to save their boy, to never let him be taken. For a fleeting moment, even the prince seemed ready to accept his fate to spare his people. But then something inside Vlad snapped. The veneer of diplomacy vanished. In a brutal display of defiance, he lunged at the soldiers, slaughtering them one by one until not a single Turk remained alive. As he stood over the cooling corpses, his advisor warned him that this was a death sentence, that Mehmed would return with an army to raze Transylvania to the ground. Vlad looked at his people, his resolve hardening into iron. "I will find a way," he vowed, "and I will make him pay for every drop of blood he spilled." He rode alone, deep into the forbidden mountains, returning to the very heart of darkness. As he entered the cave, the master vampire emerged, sneering at his return. "You've come back." Even after staring into the abyss, the creature hissed, impressed by Vlad's iron will. The vampire lunged, disarming Vlad with supernatural speed, but recoiled the moment he touched Vlad's silver ring. Vlad tore the ring off, casting it aside. "The Turks are coming for my kingdom," he roared. "I need your power to stop them." The creature laughed, pinning Vlad against the stone wall. "You, a king who has butchered thousands, come to a monster for salvation?" Vlad didn't blink. "I've killed thousands to save millions. Sometimes it takes a monster to protect humanity." The vampire, intrigued by the darkness in Vlad's soul, tasted his blood and grew silent. He spoke of his own 1,000-year torment, cursed to live as the master of bats, waiting for a warrior strong enough to take his place and break the cycle. He sliced his own palm, filling a human skull with his dark, viscous essence. "Drink," the vampire whispered, "and you will command the night. You will possess the strength of an army and the speed of a storm. But remember the price. The hunger will be all-consuming. If you can resist human blood for 3 days, the curse will break and you will return to a man. But if you fail, if you taste even a single drop before the time is up, you will become the new creature of the night, and I will be free at last." Vlad seized the skull and drained it. The agony was instantaneous, a visceral fire that tore through his veins. He woke hours later, collapsed by a riverbank, his senses transformed. The world had changed. He could hear the frantic heartbeat of a beetle miles away, and he could feel the presence of every creature in the forest pulsing through his skin. The transformation was complete. The king was dead. A monster had been born. Harnessing his newfound dark gift, Vlad dissolved into a swarm of bats, returning to his kingdom just as the Turkish onslaught began. The people were gripped by terror, but as Vlad touched down, his presence shifted the tide. He promised them safety, vowing that not a single soul would be lost on his watch. He walked out to meet the Turkish vanguard alone. He wasn't the man they remembered. He was a force of nature, moving with supernatural precision. One by one, he cut them down, a whirlwind of blades and blood that turned the elite army into a pile of corpses. His own men watched from the shadows, terrified and awestruck by the carnage. When they dared to ask how he did it, Vlad silenced them with a cold glare. No questions. He knew Mehmed would return with a far larger force, so he ordered an immediate evacuation to the high mountains, where the reach of the Sultan's cannons couldn't touch them. As they ascended, the hunger began to claw at him. It was a primal, agonizing craving for human blood, and he had to endure it for 3 days or risk becoming an eternal thrall to the darkness. He retreated into solitude to wrestle with his own morality, but one man followed him, having guessed the truth. The man offered his own wrist, bleeding, begging the king to feed. Vlad recoiled, his voice trembling with rage as he ordered the man to leave. He was hanging by a thread, his resolve fraying with every passing hour. Meanwhile, in the valley below, Mehmed arrived to find his entire vanguard slaughtered, their severed heads impaled on pikes as a brutal, blood-soaked message from the man he thought he had broken. The following morning, Vlad's wife found him huddled in the dark, draped in heavy cloths to shield himself from the morning sun. Her confusion turned to horror as he stepped into the light, his skin sizzling under the sun's touch. Writhing in pain, he finally confessed his secret: the pact, the power, and the terrifying countdown. He had 2 days left. If he could hold back the hunger, he would be human again. If he failed, he would be a monster forever. But the revelation brought a new crisis. The king could no longer lead his people by day. His wife took charge, commanding the general to lead the exodus, telling the people that Vlad was scouting the enemy, keeping his dark secret safe behind a veil of duty. But the Turks were watching. As soon as the sun dipped below the horizon, they struck. They ambushed the caravan and cut down the general, a tactical victory that would prove to be their final mistake. As the light died, the beast was unleashed. Vlad descended upon them, a nightmare in the dark, hunting the general's killer and hurling him into the abyss. After securing the group in a village on the other side of the pass, Vlad urged them to prepare for the final confrontation with Mehmed. Yet he was being watched. A priest had noticed Vlad avoiding the sun, his suspicions growing with every passing shadow. The priest shadowed him to his tent, cornering him with a terrifying accusation. Only the damned, only the creatures of the night, feared the light of God and the touch of silver. He sneered, tearing the tent flap open. As the morning sun flooded the space, Vlad's skin began to blister and burn. The truth was out. The refugees, once terrified by the Turks, were now paralyzed by the monster in their midst. In a panicked frenzy, they set the tent ablaze, hoping to incinerate the vampire before he could turn on them. But Vlad emerged from the inferno, unscathed and seething with heartbreak. "I chose this curse to save you," he bellowed. "Without me, you would already be ghosts. But we don't have time for your fear, the war is not over." News of Vlad's dark transformation reached Mehmed, who prepared his army with a cruel, tactical genius. He ordered his men to cover their eyes. If they couldn't see the monster, they wouldn't fear his shadow. When the armies collided, the field turned into a slaughterhouse. Vlad summoned a blackened sky, unleashing a storm of bats that tore through the Turkish ranks, while he dove into the fray, a blur of lethal speed. But then, a chilling realization hit him. He heard his wife's scream from the tower. The Turks had infiltrated the stronghold, and the dawn was breaking, closing the window for his redemption. He sprinted toward the tower, but he was too late. He saw his wife falling from the parapet, struck down by a soldier who had already snatched his son. Vlad plunged after her, catching her just before she hit the ground, but the life was already fading from her eyes. Around him, the battle descended into pure chaos. With his final day as a monster ticking away, the choice was forced upon him. His wife, gasping for air, begged him to take her blood. "Take it," she whispered, "or you will never save our son." With a soul-crushing sob, Vlad drank. The transition was absolute. The ancient master in the cave felt the chains of his curse snap, finally free. Vlad returned to his people, a cold, predatory light in his eyes. He shared his blood with his soldiers, turning the remnants of his kingdom into an army of vampires. They tore through the Turkish camp like wolves among sheep. Vlad stormed Mem's tent, only to find it rigged like a tomb. The Sultan wore silver-plated armor, and the floor was littered with silver coins meant to drain Vlad's power. The final duel was savage. Mem struck with everything he had, pinning Vlad with silver and driving a wooden stake deep into his chest. But Vlad, fueled by a parent's primal rage, used the last of his supernatural strength to phase behind the Sultan and rip the life from his throat. Emerging from the tent with his son, Vlad was met by a nightmare. His own kin, now turned, descended upon the boy. Vlad fought his own army to protect his blood, driving a silver spear through the first vampire who dared reach for his child. He shoved his son into the arms of the priest, the only man he trusted to keep the boy pure. Then Vlad looked up. He gathered the last of his strength, shattering the clouds he had summoned. As the golden light of the sun pierced the sky, the fields erupted in fire. The vampire army, scorched by the heaven they had lost, burned away into ash. Days later, his son was crowned the new king of Transylvania, the legacy of a hero preserved in peace. But the story didn't end in the grave. An old, loyal servant tracked the site of the king's final stand and discovered his remains. With a desperate offering of his own blood, the servant revived the fallen monarch. Because Vlad had fully embraced the darkness, he was no longer bound by mortality. He was an immortal, destined to walk the earth for eternity. Centuries bled into one another, carrying the vampire king through the ages, straight into our modern world. In the neon haze of the present, Vlad caught a glimpse of a woman, a face so hauntingly familiar, the exact reflection of the wife he had lost so long ago. Yet, he was not the only creature of the night stalking the shadows. Ancient predators from his past had resurfaced, closing in on his trail. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Feel free to check out my other videos as well. You might find something you love.